Hello again. We are on second part of long distance ride
Yeah,
preparation, especially in mountains. Today we are going to speak on the riding gear. So we will cover everything that you should ideally buy for long distance rides. We will speak specifically on our recent ride to
yeah,
Ladakh. I was wearing a mesh jacket.
yeah.
You were wearing a mesh jacket. There were three other guys. Couple of them were wearing touring jacket. One guy was wearing something different. All five of us were more or less comfortable.
Correct. Yeah.
Uh, is there any an ideal jacket for Ladakh, or is there any ideal jacket for, let's say, whatever, to mountains or long distance riding? Should it be separate from your usual jacket?
So if I can get a kit from the Iron Man suit, right, which I could just tuck and then things change, that is a perfect way to do it. But otherwise, there's nothing. I usually end up carrying two kind of
Okay.
riding gear to the mountains.
Okay.
So this time I had a proper mesh jacket,
Okay.
and I also had a proper waterproof jacket. That was like a proper textile jacket.
Okay.
Because I had decided to stay there for about a couple of months, I figured I will have multiple variations of whether that's going to happen, a mix and match. I decided this. So when we rode,
Mm-hmm.
I figured the weather is going to be all sunny. Some places
Mhm.
going to be cold, and if I have a textile jacket, breathing becomes a problem.
Okay.
So I figured a mesh gear would be fantastic because I can always layer up, right?
Okay.
So I would have a base layer, I would have thermals, and the mesh jacket. If it gets really cold, I wear a raincoat on top of it. That way it cuts off the wind chill and I'm sorted. The same raincoat, because it's a thick material, would even handle the rain that comes through. And I was wearing a riding denim because I've gotten so comfortable in those riding denims that I don't want to try anything else. And most of the riding pants that we have, it doesn't go inside the boot. It becomes very tight, or it doesn't sit on top of the riding boot because I always wear the MX boots for that matter. So I figured this works well. Mainly the riding jacket is what I think we should talk about. I'm comfortable with the mesh jacket.
Okay.
Though I would like to have a bit more of textile material on it because impact zone that you have.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a fall, if I have a slip, while I want to slip and slide, but I don't want to slip and slide on the road, I would really choose a mesh jacket that has proper impact zones. Like the jacket that I wore had a proper impact, textile lining here, some on the chest and some on the back. So that way, if I roll around, also this would take it.
Basically, you had something in between a mesh
Correct.
and a proper textile touring
Absolutely.
jacket.
Yeah.
So I was basically using the mesh jacket predominantly because I am used to that,
Correct.
and I didn't want to experiment anything new before the ride, and I was generally comfortable with the ride. And with the mesh jacket, I was using layers. So I had one set of normal base layers, one set of thermal base layers, and a rain jacket and pants to go over
Yeah.
it. And it worked really well because since I was riding all the way from Pune to Chandigarh to Manali with different conditions, hot, humid, rain, cold, dry. So I decided to choose. But at some times I did feel that textile jacket would have allowed me to
Yeah.
use one layer less when there were light rains, not
Correct.
so heavy.
Yeah.
I would have just kept the rain
Rain
jacket.
jacket. Correct.
So that would have just made life easy. Nevertheless, unless uh, I have tried it here locally
Yeah.
for short rides, I would never use any gear for the longer rides,
Correct.
whether it is to mountains or not to mountains.
Yeah.
Anything that you're wearing, make sure that you have tried and tested it at least for one or two rides, and you know how comfortable you are, whether it needs some adjustments, how much, if it's a textile jacket with flaps, how many flaps you should open, what kind of layers do you need with it, and how cold or hot.
Yeah.
Like there are different textile jackets, and it will vary from brands to brands.
Correct. Yeah.
Like you said, the mesh jacket what you had was a little bit more reinforced than the normal mesh jacket.
Correct. Yeah.
So this is about the jacket and the pants.
Yeah.
What about boots? Because this is one question what our customers ask, and they say, short boots chalega na? We can use our safety shoes and everything. And so this is what would you recommend, and then I will give my inputs also from my experience with this ride.
So we all have been riding from about last 10-15 years,
Yes,
I guess. And when
yes.
we started, the riding gear concept was something new or unaffordable for a lot of people, right? We would think about ki is weekend mein itna paisa hai, let me go do a quick ride and come back, and let's make a do with it. And as time started, as we started doing more of it, we figured, okay, now let's invest in a safety part of it, and then we figured a jacket was available, a helmet was available. Riding shoe was still new then, so we made do with army boots, which was okay. But
I think everyone has done that 1500 wala army boot.
the fun part is people are still doing it now. People are still doing it now, right? I'm not questioning them, but after having spent a lot of time on the motorcycle, I figured that doesn't do anything good at all.
Especially now when you have options
available.
in
Yeah.
the market.
So riding boots are designed for you to ride a motorcycle and any impact that can happen if you fall from it. You have brands who are making gear for working in a workshop. Basically, the protection that it comes through it, or the height and the length of it and what of it, it doesn't really help on a motorcycle. On a motorcycle, when you slip and fall, usually the first thing that goes into your ankle is the foot peg. Or any stones or the weight of the motorcycle. If your shoe doesn't have a protection there, the purpose is gone. No point having a long or a short or a boot for that matter. I always carry 2 pairs of boots for the ride, and both of them have happened to become waterproof boots now. That way I'm sorted. One is a ankle length boot and one is a proper shin level, right? So that way, depending on the kind of rides I'm going to do, and I know ki 70 or 80% of the section is going to be hardcore rocky surfaces, I use a motocross shin boot. Or if it's going to be a highway run and I'm going to be relaxed, I'm going to be stopping at multiple places, it's going to be a food run, I wear the ankle length boot. That way the protection is still there and comfortable also. And I've been using a lot of waterproof socks and mix and match. I still use it, but I want my shoes to be, my feet to be dry and comfortable. So it's a waterproof boot that I'm using right now.
So the whole entire riding gear, jacket, pants, gloves, boots and helmet, the item that takes the longest time for you to get used to are boots.
Correct.
And that is something which you should try, wear, ride multiple amount of times before you ride for any long distance ride. And especially in mountains, like Sarath said, you will come across some places like Ladakh, you will have multiple water crossings. You will have places where there are no roads, muddy, sandy roads. You're prone to fall, small accidents here and there, and the first thing that will come in between are your legs. So going for tall boots is always recommended. Boots with as much protection as you can get is the best choice. Buy them, get used to them, spend a little bit more on the boots than probably the jackets. You can compromise probably on the jacket, but boots is something that you should not compromise. If your boots are not waterproof, it's not a thing to worry. You can always go for waterproof socks. There are multiple brands available these days. And that is one thing which I carried and I was very happy because I was using not just them during the day but also at night. It was so cold at some places.
I didn't know that. That is a trick to follow.
These socks keep you warm also.
Absolutely, yeah, true. Yeah.
And your feet are dry. And so I was carrying 2 pairs. So I could change it every day.
Nice.
But even 1 pair can do well. And we realized that these socks also dry pretty fast.
Absolutely, yes.
The waterproof socks.
Correct.
So 1 pair is good enough. And it's a good solution for those who do not have waterproof boots.
Correct, yeah.
So that covers jacket, pants, boots. I want to come another part of gear, that is gloves.
And helmets.
Gloves. Oh yes, I will come to the helmets. That is something which we will definitely not ignore. So I want to talk about gloves. Gloves, short gloves, long gloves, waterproof gloves, full gauntlets, slider protection, knuckle protection.
So people who travel with me would know that I carry 4 pairs of gloves now. Okay, and I think I have more riding gear in my bag than the rest of the stuff especially because I'm spending a lot of time there. One is a proper waterproof gloves that I have here because I know if the ride is going to be 10 days of rain, I have the waterproof gloves always on.
Okay,
right. That is in my backpack.
So you
always
start with waterproof
gloves.
Okay, and you know that today is going to be
correct. Look out! It's cloudy. It's going to rain.
Just
wear it and then start. Then I have a mesh gloves. It's like very sunny, very hot, and whatever. The waterproof gloves goes back in, but it's still in my bag, and my mesh gloves come into picture. Then, if it's going to be a hardcore high-speed runs like on a all tarmac and such like that, then I have a half or a full gauntlet leather gloves that comes into picture, which with the protections and stuff, sliders, which comes handy as such. So, in my bag there is always 4, and it so happens that depending on that condition, someone else doesn't have the gloves, I give it to him, and then I struggle saying that dude, I don't have it.
what if I just carry one glove?
It's more than enough. It's more than enough. So whatever we're talking, I think we are spoiled of choices. But if you're a first-time rider, you don't have to carry multiples of it. But I would always suggest you have 2 gloves to carry, because I've had an experience once where I had a slip and a fall, and the gloves that I had got damaged, and I couldn't use that, or I didn't have an alternative ride through. This was in Ladakh, I think about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and I had no stores to buy it. So 2 pairs of riding gloves are always good. Yeah.
So that is what I have done.
Yeah.
2 pairs of gloves, 1 short gloves with good protection and a lot of ventilation. These are my usually everyday glove, unless and until it's raining or it's really cold. So like Chandigarh, it was raining heavily. Chandigarh to Manali, it was raining heavily. Khardula we went, it was windy, it was cold.
And it started snowing then,
It started snowing, so it was handy to have nice pair of warm, waterproof and thermal gloves. So 2 pairs of gloves is what we would recommend. If not, at least 1 good pair of gloves which will work slightly more or less in all the conditions.
Yeah.
So that is something
you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That and again, you need to get used to with the
Correct.
gloves.
So
have to
yeah, especially if it's a leather gloves for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
it has to break in and take a shape. So there are a lot of cheat codes to make it happen, but it's always advised to set up the bike, have your gear sorted, and do a couple of rides as you said earlier before you head out on your long ride.
So I keep my gloves in the tank bag. Sarath is keeping it in the backpack. Basically, keep items like gloves handy.
Yeah, quick
where
access.
you have quick access and can change quickly without losing too much time. So if it starts raining, you can quickly shift to waterproof gloves and keep riding on. Coming to waterproof, talking about waterproof rain jackets.
Yeah.
All 5 of us were wearing rain jackets outside, not the inside liner. And I think it's simply for the fact because it's easy to wear it on.
Absolutely.
Than the inner liners.
Yeah.
So.
And I also realized whatever jackets you have with the internal rain liner, you stay dry, but the jacket becomes wet, and if it doesn't dry out on the next couple of days, you're carrying that weight on your body.
Especially if it's a mesh jacket, it's gonna get very heavy.
Absolutely, and then no fun in it. So even if your jacket comes, you like a jacket that comes with the internal rain liner, you always buy one size bigger so that it's easier for you to wear. Because after you start riding, after a couple of 4 or 5 days, you can't really stretch the way you want to. So one size bigger fits fine.
It's also good to have the rain liner because you can protect it against wind.
Yeah.
Or if it's little too cold but you don't want to wear base layers, then just wear a rain liner and it does the job.
Absolutely.
So good pair of rain liner. I saw some of our guys were wearing some rain liners from whatever brands they were using. They were not really motorcycle rain gear.
Correct. Yeah.
As such. And then they bought something in Leh and they were fine the rest
Absolutely,
of the day. So the rain jackets, rain coats that you get otherwise for trekking, hiking, normal, and the rain jackets that you get for motorcycling are different stuff.
Yeah.
Most important thing in this is that it should fit on your jacket or pants very well.
Correct.
And especially if you have long boots, then you should check if the rain pants go over the boots properly.
Absolutely.
If they are not going properly, then you will have issues. You will have the jacket, the pants creating pressure on the knee guards.
And your shoes start becoming a water collector all through.
So that is something, if you are buying the rain jackets, make sure you try them over your pair of gear, both jacket as pants. And if you can try it with the boots, great.
True.
And the final thing is helmets. So what kind of helmet would you recommend for riders? What things they should look at? Forget about budget or anything. What would be the best choice for long distance riding?
Okay, so I have gotten comfortable with dual sport helmets for the fact that the beak comes really handy when you're doing high speed runs or when you're riding on different times where the sun is really up. You don't really have to start looking down and riding. You can just figure an angle, the beak is going to cut off the sun and then you can ride through. And also if you're riding through slush or you're riding behind somebody on the mountain terrain, whatever they spit out from their motorcycle,
and
the rear tire.
And it looks cool.
Absolutely, it looks cool, definitely for sure. But best of the fact is once you have used it, you figure out the vision on dual sport helmets are much higher. It's almost a proper 180 degree with a proper, the length and width of it, which becomes comfortable for you to ride through the highway.
That's my reason of wearing a dual sport helmet, the vision
Yeah.
and the air that it offers. So
Absolutely, it breathes so comfortably. You can always close depending on which helmet you have, you can always open or close the vents, but it's comfortable. Your peripheral vision is active, and you're able to take quick decisions depending on the road conditions are. If you are a highway guy, the dual sport might be a problem for you depending on what motorcycle you're riding, because if you're riding a street bike or if you're riding a super sport,
it will create some sort
absolutely, so you're just gonna keep getting pushed all through. Right, so I would prefer a non-dual sport.
But you can always remove the peak and still ride.
Absolutely. Again, depends on which helmet you're riding.
So if you don't want to go through all that, just go for a full face helmet.
Yeah.
With good features. Buy a helmet that fits you well. Your
Always
first choice of choosing the helmet should be fit, not the colors or graphics.
Correct.
There are a lot of brands available today in the market. Lot of stuff is available at GTHouse. You can go to our website and scroll through different full face dual sport. Lot of choices for the riders to make, from different as low as 4,000 to 40,000. You was spoiled for choices. So good helmet does help to make your ride comfortable. You'll have less fatigue on your neck. If you have features like internal goggles, it will help you while riding in the sun. And yes, there are factors like visibility, or the ventilation or wind noise. That is personal preferences. You should try them out, check out the feedback, other reviews before buying such helmets. So that is more or less about the gear. I had very interesting experience in Ladakh. In all 12 days that we rode, every day was a different terrain. Every day was a different weather, and having a gear that is slightly flexible to different terrains and weather is important, especially if you're riding in Ladakh.
Absolutely.
Maybe if it's a straight long highway, you probably don't need so many changes.
Right.
But having something like I was carrying two base layers, one normal and thermal, so it helped me to decide on which days to wear what. So I think this is a very important factor which the riders must consider and try them out before they actually go for.
So this mix of it, we have figured out a mix that works for the individual as such for us. So it might, whatever we say might not work for you, but then there are few inputs that you could take and then build a set for yourself. Don't just replicate what someone else has it, right? Because mesh works for me, mesh works for him, but he himself just said right now he would need a bit more of textile on it. So after the kind of riding style that we have figured, so we have learned this is what works for us, right? So something else might work for you. Thankfully, there is wide variety of gear available right now. I'm just so surprised, or I'm happy actually for the new riders who are coming up right now. They have a lot to choose from.
Great, Sarath. So this is all about gear. If you have any questions to me or Sarath, or anything general that you would like to know, please drop in your question in the comments below, and we will make sure that we answer it. If we are not able to answer it, we will find it and make sure that you get some sort of an answer. So in the next session, we are going to talk about luggage. What I carried, what he was carrying, and what generally you should do. We are going to talk in detail on what options are generally available in market, and also what not to do with the luggage. So till next time, stay tuned. Again, if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, this is the time to do it. Share it with your riding buddies, and as usual, stay safe, ride safe. Bye bye.